Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Erev Tov, everybody. It's good to see everybody here, back for another edition of our Thursday night Parashat HaShavua class. Tonight we are studying Parashat Vayehi, the last parasha of Sefer Bereshit. Tonight's shiur is sponsored by the El-Malech family in memory of their grandfather Yaish El-Malech Zichrono Livracha, and as well as by Mr. Jacques Esses and family in memory of his father Shlomo Esses Zichrono Livracha. May the words of Torah that we say tonight be La'ilui Nishmatam Tihi Nafsham Tzura B'Tzora Hayim. Vayehi is known obviously for the end of Yaakov's life, Vayehi Yaakov Eretz Mitzrayim, that took place in Mitzrayim. And a big chunk of the parasha deals with the beautiful blessings that Yaakov gave to each one of his children prior to his death. I say beautiful, and I put that in quotation marks. Not everybody got a beautiful blessing. Some of them, Shimon and Levi in particular, if they had to do things over again after getting the blessing from Yaakov, maybe they would have, thought differently when it came to the annihilation of the city of Shechem, and the blessing clearly demonstrated Yaakov's displeasure. But there are many Chachamim that construe that blessing as to something more positive, nevertheless. But one of the things that I wanted to focus on tonight is the partnership between Yissachar and Zevulun. The partnership between these two brothers, whose merit really sustains us to this very day. As we wait for Mashiach to come, all we have left is the Torah, and in the merit of our dedication towards the study of the Torah, we will see that final Geulah. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh says very clearly in Parashat Tesaveh that the final Geulah will come as a result the merit of Torah study. And it is clear that you look around the world, there's never been so many studiers of Torah in history than there are now. Yes, a person can argue maybe the quality of Torah isn't the same as previous generations. I don't think that's a secret. I think it's well known. Nevertheless, there are so many people. Torah is so accessible today, whether through online, virtually, English translations, French translations, you name it, translations everywhere. Every person has the opportunity to study Torah, and that's what's going to bring the Mashiach. And I want to focus tonight on the blessing that Yaakov Avinu gives Zevulun. Zevulun is the benefactor of Yissachar. He is the pillar, who is the pillar of Torah. Yaakov Avinu says, Zevulun lechof yamim yishkon. Zevulun shall dwell by the seashores. Vehu lechof oniot, and he shall be at the ship's harbor. V'yarchato al Sidon, and his end is at Sidon. Rashi says that he will constantly be found on the shore of the ships, at the harbor where the ships bring the merchandise. Zevulun is a person that engages in business. He engages in commerce. He provides sustenance and food not only for his own tribe, but as well for the tribe of Yissachar, while they would be the ones engaging in Torah. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu said at the end of his life, when he blessed all the tribes. He said, Semach Zevulun betzetecha veYissachar be'oalecha. Rejoice, Zevulun, in your going out, and your going forth, and Yissachar in your tents. Meaning Zevulun would be the ones to go outside and engage in business, and Yissachar would be the ones that remain indoors to study Torah. And this very holy partnership between Yissachar and Zevulun really represents the foundation that guarantees the survival of Am Yisrael until this very day and up until the end of days. This is what is meant when the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Im en kemach en Torah. If there is no kemach means flour or sustenance. If there is no sustenance, then there is no Torah. But at the same time, Im en Torah en kemach. If there is no Torah, then there is no flour. So this statement begs the question. The Torah scholars who accepted upon themselves the yoke of Torah and removed themselves from the worldly endeavors and pleasures and business, how are they able to engage in Torah study? Iman kemach and Torah. How can you have Torah if you don't even have kemach? And on the other side, conversely, those people who engage in business and commerce to support their family, how are they able to succeed? Because it says Iman Torah and kemach. You need Torah in order to have kemach. So we know that even businessmen need to partake in some sort of Torah. So how can the small amount of Torah that they learn enable them to accumulate ample sustenance? So the answer to both of these questions is related to that partnership between Yissachar and Zevulun of Jews who engage in business and commerce to support their families. Okay, are also obliged to support Talmidei Chachamim, the people who are sitting and studying Torah, who accepted upon themselves all Torah, the yoke of Torah, and as their reward, it's considered like as if they also engaged in Torah study. And that's actually how the halacha reads in Shulchan Aruch, one that we quoted here a few weeks ago in the early Minyan, Shulchan Aruch in Yoreh De'ah, Siman Reish Mem Vav, Sif Aleph writes, Kol Ish Yisrael Chayav B'Talmud Torah, every man is obligated to study Torah, ben ani ben ashir, whether he's poor, whether he's rich, ben shalem begufo ben bal yishurim, whether he's healthy or he suffers from affliction, ben bachur ben zaken gadol, whether he's young or he's old, afilu ani mechazer al petahim, even if he is a poor person who's knocking on doors, afilu bal isha banim, even if he has wife and children, chayav likboa lo zman letalmud Torah bayom ubalayla, he has to set times to learn Torah day and night. Shneimar v'agita bo yomam v'layla, that's what the pasuk says in Yoshua. And if a person is it's impossible for him to learn, because he may not know what to do and how to learn, or because he's overburdened, says the Shulchan Aruch, I got a solution for you. Support other people who study. And that counts, says the Rama, that money that you give to the Torah scholar while he's learning is as if you were learning. You have no idea how to open up a Gemara, you have no idea what a Mishnah says or a Chumash, Rashi, nothing. But you give a person who's studying some money, $100 here, go buy your wife something nice, go something, a better dinner on a Thursday night, okay, for you to help support him. There you go. It's as if you learn Torah, his Torah specifically. So when Zevulun engages in business and supports Yissachar, who studies Torah to provide him with kemach, with the sustenance, they become partners in the Torah study. And that's for the teaching of the Mishnah applies to both of them. The kemach, the business endeavors of Zevulun assists that of Yissachar, and in return, the Torah of Yissachar assists the kemach, the business endeavors of Zevulun. To really appreciate how special this partnership is, we just have to focus on the brachot of Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu before they passed away. They both make it a point to emphasize the importance of the partnership. And because of Zevulun's role in the partnership, that support of Torah scholars is so important and essential that Moshe Rabbeinu and Yaakov, both of them, or Yaakov and Moshe, both blessed Zevulun before Yissachar. Even though Yissachar was born first, but they bless Zevulun first because of how important that is. I saw a couple of beautiful ideas brought down by Rabbi Frand. He notices an unbelievable remez in Parashat Mas'eh. In Parashat Bamidbar, I take that back. In Parashat Bamidbar, the Torah describes the order of the flags and the sequence of which the tribes traveled in the Midbar. And there were 4 camps, each led by a particular tribe, and each tribe had their unique flag. So the first camp, which was on the eastern side, was led by the tribe of Yehuda, and there included the tribes of Yissachar and Zevulun, okay? And then the Pesukim go on to list who were the princes of that tribe and the population. Then you have the tribe of Reuven was in the south, and he was joined by Shimon and Gad. Then you had the tribe of Ephraim, which was on the west, and that included Menashe and Binyamin. And then Dan was in the north, which included the tribes of Asher and Naphtali. Rabbi Frand quotes the Baal HaTurim, and he notes an anomaly in the description of the 4 camps. Specifically, by 3 out of the 4 camps, the Torah describes the the tribal components as follows. The flag of tribe A is this, Umate Shevet, and then those encamping next to them, tribe B, Umate, tribe C. The only time where the Vav is missing, the letter and is missing, is by the tribe of Zevulun. If you look at it, everywhere it says Umate Gad, Umate Shimon, but by Zevulun, who is alongside Yissachar and Yehuda, it does not say Umate Zevulun, it just says Mate Zevulun, the tribe of Zevulun. So Baal Turim asks, why is this the case? Now, most of us, as Baalei Koreh, probably don't realize, you don't figure that out. Only the Baal Turim can see this. And he says the reason is because the tribe of Zevulun was that supported Yissachar, and the Torah did not want to give the impression that they were subordinate to Yissachar, and described their and therefore they described their encampment as something independent. Mate Zevulun. Okay, meaning I'm not secondary to Yissachar. Yissachar umate Zevulun. No, Zevulun was co-equal to Yissachar. They shared equal reward in their respective efforts of building the Jewish people. I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful idea. So when you pay attention to Yaakov and his blessing to Zevulun, Zevulun lechof yamin mishkon, implying that his livelihood would be at the seashore. What's the connection between Zevulun's role as Yissachar's benefactor and the livelihood being at the seashore specifically? We see thousands of Torah supporters nowadays that even throughout the generations that were examples of Zevulun's way of life and supporting Torah scholar, but their livelihood was not associated with the ocean and with the ships. So what exactly? How are we to explain this? So again, another idea that was brought down again by Rabbi Frand, and then we'll go a little bit deeper. You look at each camp had their own flag, like we said, specifically. And on each flag was a tribe symbol. So Yehuda's flag had the symbol of a lion, because that represented kingship. Yissachar was about the moon and the stars, being that the scholars were able to understand the astronomical ideas and concepts, knowledge necessary to determine when the Rosh Chodesh was. Dan was a snake. Zevulun, his flag was a boat. That was his flag, it was a boat. And it makes sense because for one reason, his portion of land was along the coast of Israel, but also because they were merchants. They were merchants, and they were in the import and export business. And nowadays, the import and export business, you sit behind a computer, and you just trade emails, and you negotiate good prices, okay, whether to import or to export, whatever you are doing. And you're behind a phone or a computer. Zevulun did it the hard way. Zevulun had to get on boats, okay, and he had to sail the seas, and he had to go to a foreign land, and he had to buy the merchandise, and then he sold it at various ports, and that's how he earned his living to support Yissachar. So you have to ask the question. He says, Zevulun is such an amazing person. He supports his brother Yissachar. Why did he need to go and make his living through such a dangerous, difficult fashion? Not only in ancient times was traveling by sea something dangerous, even nowadays, fishermen have a very hard time obtaining a life insurance, right? I think they have a television show, I believe, right? They have what's it called? Deadliest Catch, I think it's called. The Deadliest Catch, where people go out there and people have died. People have died on these ships. There's storms. People are thrown overboard. It's a dangerous profession. Zevulun is a tzaddik. He supported his brother Yissachar. Zevulun could have been a lawyer, could have been a doctor, could have been a guy behind his desk, okay, making lots of money, trading stocks, whatever. There's so many things he could have done. Why do you need to be a merchant marine? Why do you need a person to risk his life every single day? What Jewish profession, says Rabbi Frand, is a sailor? Nowadays, come on. So why did such a righteous tribe have such a very difficult way of living? So Rabbi Frand quotes Rabbi David Feinstein, and Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he passed away not long ago. And he once said a beautiful chidush. He said the Gemara Masechet Nida says that all sailors are tzaddikim, are pious, and the meaning of it is that when a person is on a boat, person is on a boat. First of all, I want to take that back. I don't know if it was Rav David Feinstein that passed away. I know Rav Reuben. I could be wrong, so I don't want to take that back. All right, we'll confirm later. If he's alive, I wish him well. So when a person is on a boat, he doesn't know if he's going to survive, and therefore all of a sudden he realizes how difficult making a living is, and he becomes aware of HaKadosh Baruch Hu instantaneously. He becomes more pious. He knows how dangerous it is. He knows how scary it is, and he knows in a matter of minutes things can go from a very calm ocean, and then he can lose everything, whether his life or even not his life, but all of his possessions. In such a situation, he becomes more God-fearing and he understands what religion's all about. So this is why Zevulun had the job of supporting the brother. Such a person knows who really provides the parnasah. When a person sits behind the desk and receives the same paycheck over and over and over again, okay? Yeah, look at all the work I'm doing. I'm here. I'm comfortable. Now all of a sudden you're being asked to go and support somebody else and give your hard-working money to someone else. Come on. Like, okay, what? I worked hard for this money. Why do I got to give it to somebody else? Right? I should give you the check that I earned to support somebody. Let him go and work. I worked hard for this money. But when a person is a sailor, when a person sails the high seas and knows how scary it is and how difficult it is, he knows that only HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides a parnasah. He knows it. He knows much more than anybody else. So he's much more easygoing. And not only easygoing, yes, here, I'll take you need support? Here's my money, because I know what it is. I know it's not me. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't earn the money. I'm just a messenger. I'm a conduit. Right? I'm a bank. I'm holding the money for Yissachar. So since the Shevet Zevulun was the one that supported Yissachar, so for that very reason, yes, he had to be the merchant marine. He had to be the person on the seashore, because it's a type of profession who really appreciates HaKadosh Baruch Hu in providing him the parnasah. I want to take this a step deeper based on the words of Pinchas Friedman, who we study on Thursday night. A little deeper message of what exactly was happening in Yaakov's blessing with to Zevulun. There's a story in Masechet Ta'anit. We just finished Masechet Ta'anit recently in Daf Yomi. Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph. An amazing story between two Amoraim. One of them was named Ilfa, and the second one was named Rabbi Yohanan. And they were both studying in the yeshiva, but they were very poor. They were destitute. They didn't have any parnasah. So they decided that, okay, we're going to stop learning, and we're going to go start a business. We're going to go out into the world, and we're going to engage in commerce. Fulfilling, the Gemara says, fulfilling the pasuk, Efes ki lo yeh bechayv yon. There shall be no destitute among you. They felt that they had to make an effort not to be poor. So Gemara relates that they were sitting, taking a break, and they were sitting alongside a wall that was unstable while they were eating. And there, Rabbi Yochanan overheard a conversation of two angels. He overheard a conversation. One of the angels said, let's bring down the wall and kill them both, because they're forsaking life in Olam Haba. They're forsaking the life of studying Torah, which is going to bring you reward in Olam Haba, in favor of indulging in temporary earthly matters, Olam Hazeh. That's what one angel said. The second angel responded, leave them alone. Don't bring the wall down on them, because one of them is going to rise to greatness, and it's not yet his time to die. This is what the second angel said. So now, Rabbi Yochanan heard this, and he goes, hey, buddy, did you just hear that? He tells the Ilfa, did you just hear that conversation? And Ilfa didn't hear. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear anything. So Rabbi Yochanan concluded, since I was the one that heard the conversation and not Ilfa, it must be that I was being notified from Shamayim that I got to go back and I have to improve. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Ilfa, listen, I'm going back to yeshiva, and I know that, this is not what we went out for, but there will always be poor people on earth, okay? And Torah study, the studies of Torah have to continue, even under desperate conditions, even under poverty. Ilfa did not go back with Rabbi Yochanan, and he went out to go engage in business. When Ilfa came back after a few months of business, Rabbi Yochanan had already risen to greatness, like the like the angel said. He was appointed to Rosh Hashiva, and as Rosh Hashiva, they give you like the status of like a king. They provide him with a lot of money, and he was doing very well. And the locals told Ilfa, they told him, listen, had you stayed and you studied Torah and not gone into business, Rabbi Yochanan would not have been appointed, because you would have been appointed to Rosh Hashiva. And Rashi says that Ilfa was surpassed Rabbi Yochanan as a Torah scholar. He was wiser. He had a deeper understanding of a lot of the concepts. He would have been the one appointed. Now, that's a big criticism to Ilfa. So Ilfa got a little bit insulted. So he issued a challenge. Basically, he goes, what, you think I don't know anything anymore? So he went on the mast of a ship, and he stood there and balanced himself. And he said, if anybody can ask me a Torah-related question that I cannot answer, I will allow myself to fall from the mast of this ship and drown in the sea. And Rashi basically says he wanted to display to everybody there that my scholarship still remains superior to that of Rabbi Yochanan. And that's really the end of the story. Thankfully, I guess he was able to answer questions. But what exactly was this challenge that Ilfa was trying to show them? Clearly he didn't intend to kill himself. The Torah explicitly says, "V'nishmartem me'od lenafshotechem." So what is happening over here? So Friedman has an unbelievable thought about this story. And he says that these two angels were sent to Rabbi Yochanan and Ilfa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu arranged it specifically that Rabbi Yochanan was the one to hear while Ilfa not. And as a result, Rabbi Yochanan returned to the Bet Midrash to study. He was elevated to the position of Rosh Hashiva, became wealthy. Ilfa continued his quest to find a suitable business. The Gemara Masechet Makot says, "Baderech she'adam rotze lelech ba molichin oto." That the way that a man wants to go, molichin oto, they lead him. The Maharsha asks a question: why is it written molichin oto in plural? Molichim is they direct him on that path. And he says that every thought of man, every utterance, every action that a man does generates an angel. It's a malach. And if he performs a good mitzvah, then there's a good malach that's generated. If he performs an avera, then there's a bad malach that's generated. So molichinoto, that's the implication of molichinoto. Those malachim were generated by a specific desire or thought to assist him to complete what he began. So when you go to the story of Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan, they both said at that time, let us go and find a business. They left yeshiva and both of them said, we want to go find a business because we can't be poor. So now both had pure intentions. They wanted to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu better, but they realized that the poverty made it difficult for them. So these two angels were generated. One by Ilfa's remark, one of them by Rabbi Yochanan's remark. Now, the Maharsha said, we quoted, that malachim that are generated by positive, well-intended statements assist a person to better serve Hashem. So the malach that was generated by Ilfa's remark, he wanted to prevent him from abandoning the walls of the yeshiva to go and engage in business. So there, and it seems that Rabbi Yochanan's angel wanted to do the same. So Ilfa's angel told Rabbi Yochanan, listen, what's better? What's better? That they go in business and they lose everything because there's a big risk, as we're going to see, or let's drop the wall on them and end it right now. Let's prevent them from forsaking Torah study in favor of earthly commercial endeavors, and they will die innocently and they won't die guilty. This is what the angel was thinking. Rabbi Yochanan's angel, his angel, knew that it was already ordained from Shamayim that Rabbi Yochanan was going to be the next Rosh Hashiva. And therefore, and he also knew that it was ordained that Ilfa was going to be a successful businessman. So therefore, not just a businessman that was going to direct other people to engage in commerce properly, following the law, and as well support those who study Torah. And they'll follow his example in doing so. So therefore, the angel of Rabbi Yochanan said wisely to the Ilfa's angel, listen, let them be. Don't collapse this wall because it's not their time to die. In fact, one of them is going to rise to greatness. Meaning, he intentionally didn't inform Ilfa's angel that it was Rav Yochanan who was to be promoted, because he wanted to assume that maybe it was Ilfa who was going to be promoted. Right? Because if he told him that Rav Yochanan is the one that's going up, so they said, okay, so let me kill Ilfa. I'll drop the wall on Ilfa. I don't want him going. No. He just said one of them is going to be promoted. Let the angel think it's Ilfa. And then, okay, now let them go choose. In the end of the day, both of them rose to greatness. Rav Yochanan was crowned Rosh Yeshiva. Ilfa became the guide of those who were fulfilling what Zevulun's to fulfill, combining Torah study with worldly endeavors. And therefore, the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was fulfilled. Now, why did Rav Yochanan merit this? Why him? Rav Yochanan merited hearing the malach over Ilfa, who stopped him from abandoning the Bet Midrash. This is based in a different Midrash found in Midrash Shir HaShirim. There also the rabbis relate a remarkable story of Rav Yochanan's self-sacrifice for a study of Torah. That once Rav Yochanan used to travel from Tiberia to Tzipori, and Rabbi Chia Bar Abba would support him, allowing him to lean on his shoulder. And they came to a particular field. And Rav Yochanan said, you see that field? That used to belong to me. But I sold it so I can go study Torah. And he kept on walking. You see that vineyard? That used to belong to me. But I sold it so I can keep on studying Torah. You see that field of olives? That used to belong to me. But I sold it so I can study Torah. All these things he used to own. So Rabbi Chia, hearing this, began to cry. Rabbi Yochanan said, why are you crying? Rabbi Chia says, I'm crying because you didn't leave anything for yourself. You're here, you're suffering out of poverty, and you didn't leave anything for yourself. And when Rabbi Yochanan actually passed away, what did the Chachamim say out of respect for him? They quoted the pasuk in Shir HaShirim, "Imiten ish et kol hon beto be'ahava, boz yavozu lo." Where a man to offer all the treasures of his home in exchange for love, because Rabbi Yochanan loved the Torah, they would surely scorn him. The Rashaim will for sure make fun of this guy. What an idiot. He gives everything. Boz yavozu lo. But Rabbi Yochanan understood what it meant. So this is the reason why Rabbi Yochanan actually merited hearing the malach and not that of Ilfa. That angel prevented him from leaving the walls of the Bet Midrash. He was promoted to Rosh Yeshiva. He was entitled to a respectable livelihood as well. And this all became because he sold all of his possessions so he can continue studying Torah. He didn't leave anything for him even for his old age. Like the Mishnah Perkei Avot says, "Kol mekayem et Torah me'oni, sofo lekayema me'oshet." Whoever fulfills the Torah in a state of poverty will ultimately fulfill in a state of wealth. So now maybe we can have a better idea of the challenge of Ilfa. Ilfa climbed up to the top of that ship, to the mast, and said boldly, I'm prepared to answer any question, any Torah-related inquiry, and if I don't, I'm ready to jump off this ship and drown. The Shelah Kadosh says that there's a very important principle when it comes to business and commerce, or the outside the walls of the Bet Midrash. And I read you, he quotes Sefer HaCharedim, which says, Ha'olam hazeh yam so'er, that this world is a stormy sea. Tzarich ledmot ha'adam bedato ki'ilu hu shat. A person must imagine that he's floating. Yarim rosho lemala leyotzro. He should raise his head upwards towards his maker. Bizaher, and be careful, pen yikansu befiv hamayim hazedonim, lest he swallows mayim hazedonim, the treacherous waters that enter his mouth. Veishmor min hagalim haba'im letardo, and protect himself from the waves that threaten him. Veimlav damo berosho, and if he doesn't, he is responsible for his own demise. This is what this Sefer HaCharedim says, which is actually also said by David HaMelech in Tehillim, Lulei Adonai she'ayalanu bekum alenu adam, and Hashem not been with us when men rose up against us, Azai chayim bela'unu b'charot apam banu, they would have swallowed us alive when their anger flared up against us. Azai hamayim shetaflunu nachla avar nafshenu, then the waters would have inundated us, the current would have surged across our soul. Azai avar nafshenu hamayim hazedonim, then the waters would have surged across our soul, the treacherous waters. So meaning all the ordeals, all the trials and tribulations, everything that we experience in this world, in Olam Hazeh, is represented by Mayim HaZedonim, the treacherous waters, that a Jew is liable to drown if he doesn't acknowledge the key to survival. The Rabbeinu Bechayeh says that why do we refer to Olam Hazeh as Hateva? Hateva, Mother Nature. This word, Mother Nature, is because Hateva comes from the root Tava. Litvoa means to drown. If a person is not careful in this world, Chas v'Shalom, he can drown and he can sink in the natural order of Olam Hazeh. You fail to see how God is running things, and therefore you think it's yourself. There's so many ways that you can drown in this world, and that's a reason why nature is referred to this name, because a person can descend to the depths of despair and suffering if he's not cognizant about what's around him, like a person who falls into the depths of the sea and doesn't know how to swim. He drowns. So what's the solution? Says the Sefer Haredim, says the Shah Kadosh, you got to keep your head above water, hence tonight's title. You got to keep your head above water. You have to raise your head above towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means what? You have to engage in the study of the Torah. And by exercising your brain and your intellect, that's why you're keeping your head above water, looking to Hashem, so that your brain comprehends and fathoms what he's learned. By doing so, you're able to save yourself from the Mayim HaZedonim, the treacherous waters. And that guarantees a person that he won't drown in the waters of Hateva, of this world. And that's only will come true, assuming that he doesn't swallow the Mayim HaZedonim. In other words, he has to take care of his matters in Olam Hazeh, such as not eating forbidden foods, not speaking Lashon Hara, right? Anything that is other types of corruption that has to do with the mouth. It goes on to describe other areas. So now let's go back to this unbelievable, profound wisdom of Yaakov Avinu in his blessing to Zevulun. Zevulun lechof yamim mishkon. Zevulun shall dwell by the seashores. Yissachar was the pillar of Torah, who studies Torah day and night. He's afforded protection. We know he's afforded protection because he's in the walls of the Bet HaMidrash. He's not outside in the world risking his life drowning in the Mayim HaZedonim. It's not something that he's even exposed to. He's not part of Hateva. He's not there in nature. Zevulun, on the other hand, he's engaging in business. He's got commerce. He's buying and selling, import and exporting. So he is in constant danger of drowning in the waters of Hateva. And that's what the Pesukim later on in Sefer Devarim warn us. Hishamer lecha pen tishkach et Hashem Elokecha. Be careful that you don't forget God, because what's going to happen? Pen tochal v'savata ubatim tovim tivneh v'yashavta. We've quoted this many times. You're going to build beautiful homes. Ukarecha v'tzonecha yirbeyun. You're going to have a lot of cattle and sheep. Bekesef v'zavi belach. Lots of money. Kol asher lecha yirbeh. Everything you have is going to grow in abundance. V'ram levavecha. And you become arrogant. V'shachachta et Hashem Elokecha. You're going to forget God who took you out of Egypt. V'amarta bilvavecha. You're going to say in your heart, Kochi ve'otzem yadi. Yeah, it was me. I'm the one who did this. See this empire? See this business that I created? Multi-million-dollar. Yeah, it's all me, and not God. Therefore, you have to remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the one that gave you that strength to make wealth. So that prompted Yaakov Avinu to bless Zevulun. Zevulun lechof yamim mishkon. Zevulun is going to dwell by the seashores. Rashi says he's constantly going to find himself by the shores of the ship, at the site of the harbor where ships bring merchandise. Yaakov wanted Zevulun to look at the boats. He wanted him to comprehend the function, the task of the ships. What is the purpose of the ship that sails the sea? They transport people and merchandise from place to place and prevent people from drowning in the stormy seas. You're on a boat. If you're not on a boat in the middle of the ocean, you're dead. You can't survive. That's the whole purpose of the ship. I want you to stand on the shore and I want you to look at the ships constantly. That's a constant reminder to Zevulun that he's also in danger of drowning in the deep, treacherous waters, the Mayim HaZedonim of Hateva. So it's imperative that Zevulun find himself a reliable vessel to help him navigate those dangerous waters. In other words, what? You have to set times to study Torah, raising your head above the water. And the main lesson, of course, is that even someone who engages in business, unrelated to the seashore, still has to learn the lesson of the boat. They have to learn what's implied by Yaakov's bracha to Zevulun. You have to be aware that wherever you are engaged in commercial endeavors, you are suspended above these treacherous waters, and the only way to prevent yourself from drowning is by clinging to the Torah, either by devoting a time day and night to actually study, or to do what Zevulun was set out to do, which is to support the Torah scholars, is to give money to people who spend their time in the walls of the Bet Midrash, who are avoiding the world of Teva, the Mayim HaZedonim. And that's really what Ilfaz's profound message was when he came back after those months and he saw Rabbi Yochanan and all the Bachurei Yeshiva, and they were criticizing him. If you would have stayed here, you would have been the guy. And he wanted to prove to his naysayers that even when he was traveling by ship, even when he was conducting business over these last few months, navigating these dangerous waters, he never forgot that vital lesson, that a person has to always study Torah, not to drown. And by hanging on to that mast of the ship and challenging the people, challenging them, ask me any question, I will answer to you. He was hinting to them that he didn't forget that lesson of Yaakov Avinu even for a single moment. He understood that anybody who neglects the study of Torah is in constant danger of drowning in the waters of Olam Hazeh. So yes, Ilfa left the Bet Midrash to go seek a livelihood, but at the same time he remained engrossed in Torah, and he was capable of answering any question. We live in a world where we what can we say? We constantly find ourselves, thinking more and more of what we've accomplished and associating it less with God. If you pay attention to all the major mitzvot that have to do with parnasa, there's always this idea of raising our hands. When we say poteach et yadecha, okay, umasbia lecho chai ratzon, which is clearly a pasuk that we have to have a lot of kavanah and concentration. And if you don't have concentration, you have to go repeat, go back and say it. That's a pasuk that has to do with only parnasa. There's so many different hidden allusions in that pasuk, right? And we open our hands. We're not opening our hands because it says poteach et yadecha. Person that thinks that's not the reason why we open our hands, because our hands are facing upwards, because we understand that the parnasa is coming from Makkah. That's where the beracha comes from. Another place where we see this concept is netilat yadayim. When we wash our hands, netilat yadayim, because we are about to eat bread which represents this idea of parnasa and our livelihood and our sustenance. The halacha states, for many reasons, that after you wash your hands, you lift your hands up, right? And then again, many people have the custom also to recite, right? Right? And they say, Baruch Atah Hashem, while their hands are raised. When the Kohanim are giving their blessing daily to the congregants in the Bet Knesset, their hands are like this. They are the medium. They are the conduits in providing the blessing. The blessing is coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So whenever we see this idea of parnasa and livelihood, we always have to remember, the ultimate source. The ultimate source. The beracha is a pool. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has an ocean of blessing next to him, and he's just providing it to each one exactly with what they need. And the faster and sooner we come to that realization, then the happier we are going to live. The faster we'll come to the recognition that our entire life is full of blessing. The less worry and anxiety that we're going to have, because the more and the more and the more that people have, the more they think that it's theirs. Perkei Avot says, "Marbe nechasim, marbe de'aga." The more things that you own, the more furniture, the more cars, the more this, the more worry. All it is more worry, right? So understanding that comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, always maintaining a connection to Him, whether it is through the study of the Torah, a little bit a day, a little bit at night, or supporting the Torah, is me displaying and showing to God, listen, you gave me this amount of money, and I'm going to take this money, I'm going to go support somebody who is hanging on, who is there in the Bet Midrash, and he's totally excluding himself from society and Hateva because I feel this is important. The study of Torah every day is not for everybody. Clearly, it's not for everybody. Right? Most people most Jewish people do not sit in the Bet Midrash and study all day. But you got to always remember that idea. What we don't want is v'shachachta et Hashem Elokecha. God forbid you forget God because veram levavecha, because your heart became arrogant and you thought that it was only you. So B'ezrat Hashem, the faster that we come to that idea and that realization, the happier our lives will be. And whether you are Arabi or Hanan or whether you're an Ilfa, the decision is yours to make. Both of them rose to tremendous heights because this was a partnership already stemmed from the time of Yaakov Avinu, of Yissachar and Zevulun. This was something that is fundamental to our existence as Jews and for the world to continue. And B'ezrat Hashem, as this partnership continues to flourish and continues to thrive and continues to progress, we just take steps and steps closer to the ultimate redemption of the coming of Mashiach. I want to wish everybody a wonderful night. We're going to take a couple weeks break, and we'll return after the holidays. Wishing everybody an amazing night.